Well, the Blazers needed a hero of the day in this one. They needed someone to come up big late, and it just didn't happen as the Blazers fall to the Pistons 118 to 115 in Detroit on game 3 of their 5-game road trip. This is the fifth quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join in on the conversation with us today, YouTube.com, type in Rip City Radio. That's one way. Hitting us up on social, Chris J. Burkhardt is the name. Or, of course, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Get in, give us your thoughts, ask me your questions, your comments, your concerns. Tell me how you're feeling after this one as the Blazers take the L in Detroit. And I told you guys in the pregame show, like, this is not the Detroit Pistons that you are used to or that you know, because they are much improved from years past. In fact, they already have more wins than they had last year at this point. And I mean, at this point right now, they have more wins than they had all of last year. They're good. They are improving. In fact, they're kind of what you hope the Blazers will be moving forward, right? Showing that improvement and getting better and being a team that goes out there and gets wins. And in this one, they did. They took care of business. Now, the Blazers, they came out, and they came out strong. I mean, they were up 28-23 after the first quarter, outscored the Pistons 32-28 in the second quarter. And so they had that early lead. It was 60-51 at halftime. But then in the second half, the Pistons put it together. They outscored Portland 37-30 in the third, made it a ball game, and then outscored them 30-25 in the fourth. And they made plays down the stretch that they needed to make that got them the victory, right? And so you gotta tip your hat to Detroit, but then also you got to look at what the Blazers were able to do. I thought the Blazers played a good game. I thought they played a very, very good game. Just didn't get the win. And you know what? That's okay, right? That's one thing that we've said about the wins and losses. They're okay if they play good and then they lose. That's better for, the whole, I want them to tank, but I want them to improve crowd. So I absolutely get that. In the YouTube chat, my friend Timmy Hammock says 4 more sleeps until SmackDown. Hey, you don't have to worry about a Duck game conflict anymore. Look at you. I was going to go too. I can't go now because, my dad called me and he's like, hey, birthday dinner for your mom Friday night. Even though it's not her birthday, it was just the night he could get it in. And then mom's like, hey, do you think you could cook dinner for me for my birthday? Okay, Mom, not a problem. So now I got to take care of the fam. Fam comes first. Got to go cook some dinner, celebrate Mom's birthday. I don't get to go to SmackDown. But Timmy, are you watching this Raw on Netflix? Chef's kiss. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I text my buddy. I have a friend who works at WWE, and I said, hey, Raw being on Netflix might be the best thing for a West Coast wrestling fan in the history of wrestling. I got to wait till 8 o'clock. I can push through. I can rewind. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, but back to basketball, okay? Let's look at what the Pistons were able to do. Tobias Harris, he had 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 26 points from Tim Hardaway Jr., including a couple clutch threes down the stretch. He ended the night 6 of 9 from beyond the arc, 14 points from Jalen Duren, and 32 points from Cade Cunningham, who was having a very, very good season and definitely rounding into form here as the player that Detroit thought he was going to be when they drafted him. So you'll love to see that. Simon Fontecchio also had 10 points off the bench for the Pistons and 8 points for Ron Holland the second. On the Blazers side of things, it was another good balanced scoring game, right? Where you had all 5 scorers in double figures, led by 36 points by Anthony Simons, who had a very good shooting night, 14 of 21 from the floor, 8 of 12 from beyond the arc. So it's very nice to see him starting to put those shots together and have that come back around and starting to put these good games, back to back to back. You love to see that from him. This is what you wanted. When you see games like this, it makes you more hesitant to be like, oh, yeah, Blazers need to trade him because guess what? He looks pretty good in nights like this. Shaedon Sharpe, he also had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. I mean, he was flirting with the triple-double. That's another thing you love to see from him, really filling up the box score. 8 of 17 from the floor, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc. 18 points from DeAndre Ayton to go along with 11 rebounds. So another very important double-double from DA. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists from Denny Avdia. And tip of the hat, because he only had 1 turnover in this one. He had 7 last game. That was pretty brutal. Tumani Kamara, 12 points and 3 rebounds and an assist. 3 steals, though, as well. On the bench, Scoot Henderson, rough game. Rough, maybe in air quotes. It's just a game that didn't fill up the box score. He only attempted 2 shots from the floor. He ended the night with 0 points and just 3 assists and 4 turnovers. So you don't like the turnovers, right? Coming up and having more of those than assists. And then in general, just not having a great game because he's been getting lots of rebounds as well. And he didn't in this one. He just totaled 1 rebound. So an off night for Scoot. But I think the good part is that the off nights for Scoot seem to feel like there's more gap between them, right? They're kind of few and far between. There was a lot of them early in the year, it felt like, and now he's starting to put them together where he's getting these good games. Now when he has a game like this, it's more like, okay, what happened to Scoot? Why did that happen? Donovan Clingan, he played his usual 13 minutes, 4 points in this one, a single assist and 5 rebounds, no block shots. And then Chris Murray, another very impressive game. 28 minutes in this one, 4 of 7 from the floor, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And that's what I love from him is just he's very effective with his minutes. And that's what you want him to do. Again, he's not going to fill up the scoring sheet and he might not fill up the box score, but as long as he's effective in those minutes, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And he was very effective in this one. So you love to see. I mean, in fact, he was playing a lot of crunch time minutes in the fourth until very, very late when they got Denny Avdia back in there. But I mean, you're looking at almost the pre-closing lineup, and it had Chris Murray in it. So that's good. That's something that you like if you are the Portland Trailblazers. I know I like it. I like seeing Chris Murray develop a little bit, get out there, have some run, and then have important run as well. Like it's not wasted minutes. That's important. Back to Shaedon Sharpe real quick. In addition to his 20 points and 8 rebounds, those 8 assists, a career high for Shaedon Sharpe. So shout out to Shay for putting it all together. He's showing those flashes, right? That make you go, oh, I like what I'm seeing there. Now, the interesting part about this lineup, though, is that once again, they took the L, but once again, Coach Billups went with just an 8-man lineup. So there was no Jabari Walker, there was no Ryan Rupert. And I think more surprisingly, this is another game where Robert Williams was a healthy scratch. DMP coach's decision. He wasn't hurt, just not playing. So an interesting little wrinkle that we're seeing here. Don't know if maybe the Blazers are saving him. Say, hey, we don't want to put him out there, risk him getting hurt. We want him to be a part of the future, or if they're trying to trade him. I don't know. Just weird that he's not out there playing. Don't know if I'm complaining. It just means that, maybe Donovan Clingan has pushed himself in to be that true backup center at this point, and he gets those 13 minutes. I still wish he played more than 13 minutes. You all know that about me, but guess what? I'll take 13 over 8, so I ain't going to complain about that one. But once again, the Blazers go in to Detroit, and they lose 118-115. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And, of course, you can go to youtube.com and type in Rip City Radio and get in on the chat there. Elijah chimes in. They lost to the Pistons but beat the Bucks. I mean, yeah, but the Pistons aren't bad, man. The Pistons aren't bad. Got to remember, this is not the Pistons team that you're thinking about. This is not the sitting there at like 4 wins and 25 losses Pistons team. This is a Pistons team that is much improved. And in fact, they're just a game behind the Bucks in the Eastern Conference standings right now. So it's not as if the Bucks are leaps and bounds better than the Pistons. Roster-wise, you would think they would be. They just haven't put it together. Milwaukee, that is. But the Pistons are definitely playing good basketball this year. So shout out to them, man. And let's see. Timmy says the Blazers are the most frustrating team ever. Beat the good teams, lose to the bad teams. Like we get taken for for an Undertaker last ride by Utah and the Pels, but beat Denver, Minnesota, and the Bucks. Yeah, that one is a little much, right? It is hard. It's definitely hard to put your thumb on that one. But I'll definitely consider Detroit a not great, but they're good right now, man. They are good. Keep in mind that this Detroit Pistons team that we're trying to knock out, they're a 500 ball club. They are a 500 ball club, so that's not terrible. I mean, it's not great. It's not terrible though. It's not as if you lost to a terrible, terrible team. Elijah, Zion or Jimmy Butler or Damian Lillard or Zach Levine is what we need. Definitely not. I'd take a risk on Zion in the trade market because if he's healthy, he's all NBA player. I mean, the if he's healthy is the question, right? That is what matters. That's hard. And Elijah, big fan of Dan Hurley. I don't think he's coming to the league right now, man. He's got a pretty cushy gig there in UConn. Maybe eventually. I don't know. I don't know where the Blazers go. They need a guy who is a player developer. That's what they need in the long run. We'll see where they go when they decide to hire their next coach, whenever that may be. We're going to take a quick break here, though, on the fifth quarter. When we come back, it's time for our shot of the night and our drive of the night. And we still have a coach's corner and a game ball to get to. Plenty more coming up. We haven't done scoreboard reports this year, but you know what? I feel like taking a look around the league and seeing what's going on. Let's bring it back, baby. Let's bring it back. Chris Burkhardt here with you. This is the fifth quarter presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
Simons dribbles right. He attacks and drives to the rim and dunks it in right down the center of the lane. 21 for Anthony. 95-90, Blazers in front. Over to Fontecchio. Hesitates, drives right of the lane, loses the handle of it, picked up by Simon. Simon's in the front court, 2-on-2. Sees a seam, he attacks, gives up to Sharp in the corner. Quick three on the way, buries it. And a timeout by Detroit.
Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Heading on over to YouTube, man. Timmy had the comment of the night. He says, "When I die, I want the Ducks football team and the Trailblazers to be my pallbearers so they can let me down one more time." It's terrible. It made me laugh though. That's a good tattoo though, Timmy. Like the duck and Blaze the Trail Cat lowering a coffin down on your tricep. Yeah. Since you love tattoos, right? Oregon Movie Guy points out that no player on the team shot more than one free throw tonight. There was a game recently where the starter shot 0 free throws. It seems like that's a stat that only happens to Portland. That is a weird stat, actually. Oregon Movie Guy. I mean, you look at the free throw discrepancy tonight. It was 22 attempts for the Pistons, just 5 for the Blazers, and that's an odd game, absolutely for sure. You're going to tell me that there was no fouls going on or the Blazers weren't being aggressive. Maybe they need to be more aggressive and get to the rim and attack it and put the Pistons in some rough spots. But that is very, very weird to not get to the free throw line. Personal fouls in this one, 18 for Portland, 15 for Detroit. So you're telling me basically every single one of the Blazers fouls was a shooting foul. That's just crazy. Now, of those 22, the Pistons made 19. Of those 5, the Blazers made 3. So that is a plus 16 differential at the free throw line. Again, in a game that was decided by 3 points, that's a major reason why. That's absolutely tough to stomach. So a good pull there. But yeah, we'll have to look into that to see like where does that rank on the this only happens to Portland, or these are kind of random free throw nights and stats that just happen when you're a Blazer fan. What else? Timmy says, "How come when the Blazers or Ducks have a legit shot at winning, they always run into a dynasty?" Dude, first off, this Ohio State team is a buzzsaw. They are a buzzsaw. I think someone else pointed out that they're like the silver bullets of old. They are like an old school Ohio State team that's just going to run roughshod through everybody. And then you're right. Oh, the Blazers have a really, really good team for, 5-6 years. And then for some reason, the team down in the Bay takes over and they have to play them every single year in the playoffs. Yeah, that was rough. That was rough. Speaking of ink, got mine done, says Timmy. Healing really well. Came out nice. Hopefully Travis sent you the picture. He did not send me the picture, unfortunately. Hit me up on social. Chris J. Burkhardt, DM me. That's how you can hook it up. I want to see it. You did tell me about it. I'm glad you got it. Mine healed pretty nicely too. It just took a very long time. How is yours like the size of a quarter? Did you cry? Did you regret it instantly? I don't know. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. If you call and no one picks up, call back. Shacker will eventually pick up. I promise. Don't let me down. Now, you can also go to youtube.com, type in Riv City Radio 620, join in the chat with Elijah, an Oregon Movie Guy, and Timmy Hammock. And then, of course, hit me up on social, Chris J. Burkhardt. Send your questions, comments, concerns over there, and we'll get to you as well. So Timmy says the tattoo didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. Felt like pulling arm hair at most. Where'd you get it? Where'd you get it? That matters. There are some spots that are less painful than others. My first one, I described, it just feels like someone took a ballpoint pen and just kind of like drug it through my arm. It was not fun. I always regret it. Forearm, okay, that's not a bad spot. There's a couple spots on my forearm that I just didn't like though. I got my very first tattoo on my shoulder, and I sat there for like the hour that it took, if that. And I was just sitting here like this the whole time, head turned, looking at it as it was going. And then when I was done, I had the worst kink in my neck because I just sat there for like enamored just watching it. And yeah, glad you got one though. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. This entire piece on my left arm was like, I think I think we did the math on this because it goes up over my shoulder, a little bit on my back and my chest. Was this one piece was like 27 hours under the needle? Absolutely brutal. A lot of work. A lot of work. All right, let's head out to the phone lines. Let's head out to the preacher. I haven't heard from the preacher in a while. Preacher, welcome back to the fifth quarter.
Hey, man, I'm always listening, that's for sure. Hey, going backwards with Chauncey showing up in Detroit and probably his last year as a Blazer coach here possibly, I liked how the team displayed all honors in regards to, showing off, I would say, inheriting what he spoke in regards to his philosophy. I know there's a lot of fans here in Portland that don't like Chauncey, but then again, they don't like a lot of things, and of course, it's hard to win everyone over. Just like Terry Stotts. Now look at his success as an assistant coach under, the Golden State Warriors. So I just have to say, where things go and go, I actually enjoyed today's game, and I actually enjoy how Coach Chauncey has coached these Blazers throughout the years. I mean, he inherited a team that was literally maybe a 200 mileage truck, and it's already been beaten down, and where it's going, I don't even know as a fan. And he inherited it, and he's a Hall of Famer without a doubt. I can tell it. I can tell how he's been treated around with all the coaches. I appreciate the show, and I appreciate the airwaves.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, preacher, and you're absolutely right. I mean, they're showing little things, man. And my defense of Chauncey, and I have been critical of Chauncey too, but I think if you listen to the show, you know that I have given him the benefit of the doubt, quite honestly, and a lot of people have, because he inherited a team that was supposed to be a playoff team with the face of a franchise and all that, right? And then that thing blew up. And then he was told, hey, you were supposed to lead this veteran laden team, and now you're going to rebuild a team. And those are two different skill sets, if you got to be completely honest, right? Like if your playoffs are your goal, and you have that veteran team, you get a coach for that group. And if you're a young team and you need to, build that team and learn together, you get a coach for that group. And I just don't think Chauncey was ever the coach that you wanted to hire to rebuild a young team. He was the veteran guy. And so it is a different situation for him. And that's where I do give him the benefit. The rough part is there's also still been plenty that not to like. I don't like the issues early in the year where he kept bringing up that focus was an issue and didn't like players' spirits. And like, that's a little bit more coaching to me. Like, focus, that's your job, is to keep the team focused and then get the players out there and let them make the plays. But no, you're right. I mean, you do have to give credit at times, and the team has been playing better. And I do think Phil in the YouTube chat, preacher, makes a good point, and it's that he likes the hustle better when Denny and Kamara are on the floor together and they're playing the forward. And I do think that the coach is kind of tinkering with some lineups right now that are working as they play. And the thing about Tamani and Denny together, man, is that those are both definitely hustle players to begin with, and they can feed off each other. One's great on the offensive side, one's great on the defensive side. They're both no slouches on the opposite side either. So, yeah, you're tinkering and you're figuring things out, and I think that's why you start to wonder where the team goes in the long run and what moves are going to be made, because you need to open doors to get those young guys on the floor playing together. And yes, Denny's a vet, but he's still a young guy. Remember, he just turned 24 this week. So, yeah, I like those lineups too, Phil, and we saw a lot of that tonight. So, yeah, I do think that it's probably the end of the road relatively soon here for Chauncey. I don't think he's back next year, but at the same time, again, he's done some good. Hasn't all been awful. I know people want to just pile on him. There's been a lot of bad though. Don't get me wrong. We can't give him a free pass, preacher. Can't give him a free pass. But it's one of those things. If you're going to call guys out when they're bad, you got to admit when things are good. And they got to win in Milwaukee. And then tonight they looked really good. They lost the game, but they looked good. And again, keep in mind, you look at the lineup, it was all young guys outside of DeAndre Ayton and Anthony Simons. They went with an 8-man rotation that featured Tamani Kamara, Denny Avdia, Shaedon Sharpe, Chris Murray, Scoot Henderson, and Donovan Clingan. And they went out and they almost beat a much improved Detroit Piston team. So I like that. All right. Also here on the line, Victor in Turkey. Victor, welcome into the fifth quarter. What do you got tonight?
Hi, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, I think the way I look at it, the offense was good, the performance of the offense. But I want your opinion about the comparison. Well, it's hard to compare the previous game to this game because every game is different. But what I want to ask you is I think the defense wasn't as sharp. That's the way I feel it. The defense was as sharp. Maybe it was the execution. They couldn't cover those sharpshooters or whatever. But what do you think? You think the defense was a little bit sagging compared to offense? Something like that?
I think in general, probably a little bit, Victor, because I mean, when you go out there and a team like the Blazers, who doesn't score a ton of points, goes out there and gets 115 points, it means the offense was working. The offense was also working in Milwaukee. You look at that last possession with Damian Lillard. I mean, there was a missed defensive assignment there that basically allowed Dame to almost get that winning shot off. And talked about it after the game, saying he missed that assignment. And there was a couple today too that allowed Tim Hardaway to hit the threes late in that game. So no, you're not completely wrong. I thought the offense was probably moving just a little bit more efficiently than the defense over the last few games.
I want to tell you something. You might laugh. In soccer, when you score one goal, then you try to keep only one goal. You try to keep it all defense, so you can win the game with just one goal. But I know the basketball is different because the Blazers were 21 ahead. But because basketball, you have to just keep going. You cannot play defense all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, what's a 10-point lead in basketball is about the equivalent to a 1-point lead in soccer. It's far from over. You know what I mean? And maybe a 20-point lead is like having a 2-goal lead. Like, yeah, you might feel comfortable, but the other team can go pop off 2 shots pretty quickly and get right back in the game. So yeah, no lead is safe, man. No lead is safe.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, Victor. Thanks for the call. As always, and I'm a little shocked you didn't dive in on your boy Ant. Victor is so pro Ant. He's sending me DMs on Twitter telling me to read articles about Anthony Simons. I love it, Victor. And I told you I agree with you on Ant. I like the fact that he's playing really well right now. You gotta love tonight. 36 points, man. 8 of 12 shooting, 14 of 21, or 8 of 12 from beyond the arc, 14 of 21 overall. He's finally putting it back together a little bit, Vic. So you got to love that because we know that you are perhaps the number one Ant fan out there. Ant fan? I feel like if you're a super fan of Ant, you should be called the Ant Man. Like, right? Did I just stumble onto something? I may have. You never know. All right, if you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. YouTube.com. You can get in on the chat as well. Great place to be. And, of course, you can hit us up on social. Chris J. Burkhardt is the name. I'm going to take a quick break here. When we return, we're going to head to the coach's corner, hear what Chauncey Billups had to say. I'm going to hand out a game ball. Probably going to get out of here pretty quickly, too, because we got some Seattle Kraken hockey to get to. 13 minutes left in the first period. A 0-0 game. Seattle taking on the Jersey Devils. Chris Burkhardt here with you. This is the fifth quarter presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers fifth quarter. Almost said Blazers game day. I get so confused. It is time now for the Coach's Corner. Let's head to Detroit, hear what Coach Billups had to say following this loss to the Pistons.
You guys played so hard. What did you think about the performance tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I was proud of it. I thought we fought hard. We played good. We fought hard. There was only a couple areas, where they turned up their pressure, and I thought we lost our cool a little bit. I really did cost us with that challenge in the third because we only had 2 timeouts after that. So that's one thing that I regret, and I wish I could get a do-over on. I thought it cost us because guys had to play some really long stretches, and at the end of the game, you want your guys to be fresh. I don't think they were that fresh. But you got to give Detroit credit. They got down big early, and they turned up the pressure. They sped us up a little bit, and then we finally calmed down, going to the lead in the halftime with a 9-point lead. I thought we were in good shape, and I felt that way the rest of the way. But you give them credit. They played well, but I was proud of our guys. I thought we fought extremely hard.
I know Ant wishes he could get that last play back, but what do you say to a guy that puts the team on his back, season high 36 points? Yeah. What do you say to him after a game like that?
We was in a deficit at that point anyway. We kind of had to play perfect basketball at that point. I mean, Ant was amazing. Not just scoring the ball, but making plays. They blitzed him a ton. He was patient. He got off of it. I thought our secondary playmaking was pretty good in the blitzes. So, yeah, he did a good job. I was proud of him. We moved the ball. 32 assists is I think, a season high for us. We've been talking about just playing for each other. And I was proud of that as well.
So there's a lot of trust that you have in Chris Murray that he played those minutes, especially late. What do you think of him?
Well, look, Chris has been playing great. He really has. When he doesn't play, it's not because he hadn't played well. It's just because that's just the NBA, and there's some other really good players in front of him. But I trust him. He comes in, he plays pretty much mistake-free basketball. Every time you put him in there, he hits some really big shots for us, too. He plays some really good defense. So, yeah, I definitely trust Chris, and I was happy that he was able to play so well.
What have you thought about the starts you guys have been getting off to lately? It seems like, particularly offensively, you guys have really, it seems like you found a groove early on in games.
Yeah, I think our starts have been good. I really do. I think more than anything, defensively, not letting teams get comfortable early. And then, the shot making is obviously always a plus. But it's more about starting the game with a defensive focus and not letting teams just kind of get what they want early, because in any game, they're just trying to test you and see what kind of fight they're going to have that night. So I think we've been really good with that, and I've been proud of that because we've had to work on that. We've had some really tough starts.
8 assists, I think, tonight for Shaden as well. You talk about kind of secondary playmaker. I know he's a guard, but what did you see out of him tonight? And it seems like he is just creating a little bit more for other guys lately as well.
Yeah, Shea is an underrated playmaker. He really is. I'm starting to let him handle a lot more in pick and rolls. I think it's beneficial for us because he can really pass out of it. He there's a lot of gravity when he's out there. They're going to be putting 2 people on him. He's big, so he can kind of see over some of those coverages. I was really proud of his playmaking tonight. We'll keep getting better with that.
With the game aside, especially seeing from your former teammates.
Yeah, it was awesome. Downside of it is, as a coach, you can't see the videos, because you're in the timeout and you're drawing up plays, and so I'm sure I'll see them afterwards. But it was awesome, and it always is when I'm able to come back here and be honored like this. The fans love me. I love the fans. We've had this relationship for 20 years now, and going. So I just love being able to come back here. It's like my home,
All right, we're going to hand out a game ball to none other than Anthony Simons. 36 points, 8 of 12 from beyond the arc, 14 of 21 from the floor. Just a super efficient night. He also had 9 assists in this one. So the assist numbers from Ant have been going up a lot lately, which you have to credit him for that, man, because we've argued about him not being the guy who needs to have the ball in his hand all the time because he's not a great facilitator. And, shot creating is there. He can go one-on-one, but he's not super great at that either. He is good at it, but not great. And we always talk about him playing off the ball, right? And getting the ball passed to him. And over the last few weeks, he's really, really focused on that ball movement and getting those assists. And we've seen that number tick up, and it's great to see. So a massive shout out to Anthony Simons and the work he's putting in. 36-9, definitely not something to be upset about. Again, the Blazers did lose 118-115, but you got to like that performance from Ant. And in the chat, Timmy and I were just talking about nuggets. I was joking. I was like, dude, do adults even eat McDonald's chicken nuggets? I like those Chick-fil-A nuggets, but no problem with the McDonald's nuggets, man. A little barbecue sauce on there. I eat the ones that my kids don't eat. My kids still, Dad, can we get a Happy Meal? Yeah. Can I get 3 4-piece chicken nugget Happy Meals? Thanks, Dad. You're the best. An hour later, they opened up a McDonald's toy, got really excited they had it, didn't play with it, ate some fries, and there's like 8 of the 12 nuggets left. And then I have those nuggets. Timmy, Buffalo Wild Wings is the goat of chicken? I don't know. I mean, it's good. I like Wingstop. Fire on the Mountain's good, too. Big's chicken, though. Oh, boy. Hit that one up. You ever hit that one up over on Gleason by the hospital? Oh, boy. So good. And if you're ever on the road, Timmy, Memphis, you got to hit up the original. There's a couple of them, but you got to hit up the original. I mean, Gus's fried chicken, baby. That's where it's at. I am very hungry now, so I got to go home because I got to eat. This has been the fifth quarter. Once again, the Blazers fall to the Pistons 118-115, but they'll be back at it Wednesday.